I think he identified it perfectly.
Hey guys, how you doing? So, the Raiders this past offseason signed a massive contract to Derek Carr, which is something that everyone has praised Derek. You know, they've been saying good for him, absolutely. You know, he's been able to make this money. You know, he's really proven himself in the last few years. He's really turned the Raiders organization around, which is absolutely 100% a great thing for him. However, the biggest problem with this guy is he's unproven for as much as he's done. You know, you have right here, I've chosen this game for a very specific reason because of that gentleman right there, Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco had several years with the Baltimore Ravens, and he came up on contract time, and when he came in on contract time, he cashed in because he won the Super Bowl on his final year of his contracts. In 2012, he ran up, had an amazing break-off playthrough. It was really overshadowed with Ray Lewis's retirement, but Ray Lewis focused very hardcore on making sure that everyone was aware on the fact of that, you know, it was Joe Flacco who won everything. The problem is, they signed Joe Flacco to an overboard, super stellar contract. And that's the issue, is once that happened, you know, you can say, oh, well, they lost some of their big guys and they lost some people. When he signed that contract, he cost the Baltimore Ravens their franchise. They were forced to relinquish Anquan Boldin and they legitimately had to let go of everyone.
Quickly now, the starting 11 for the Oakland defense.
Well, sometimes the numbers really don't tell the full.
That's the major issue. It costs them so much money, and that's the problem that's going on right now. Is the Oakland Raiders have just put themselves in a trap, the same thing that Baltimore did. People don't really understand. Yeah, we have this contract negotiations, and we have these moments where things work the way they do. But the problem is, the Oakland Raiders are not going to be able to afford to pay Khalil Mack and Derek Carr the boatloads of money that they've done.
They remind me of elite defenders on a basketball court, right? They want to contest.
People love to hate on the New England Patriots, you know, because they've won, they've cheated, whatever you want to do. I'm not here to discuss whether or not they've done, but the fact of the matter is, 5 Super Bowl championships is what the New England Patriots have done. Whether you want to say that they cheated or not, they have 5 Super Bowl championships. And that's the major thing. But the thing is, how did they do that? Well, it's very simplistic on how they did it. They turned around. They have been allowing their players to take payment cuts so they can afford people. I assess the situation of Tom Brady is probably the greatest quarterback right now in the game. If you just want to put it straight down, Madden 18, he's the best quarterback that there is because he's the GOAT. He's the greatest. He has 5 Super Bowl championships. But Tom Brady is only paid less than about $40 million a year. Why is it that Matthew Stafford signs a $135 million contract, but Tom Brady's still making $40 million? That is what the change of it is the New England Patriots are able to afford better players by taking pay cuts. The veterans cash in at opportune moments, where Belichick has made it very abundantly clear he will not overpay for someone. Wow, that happened. But there's no reason why Derek Carr has made this amount of money, because now they've put themselves in a situation where they had to franchise tag Khalil Mack to be able to keep him. Actually, no, he's a 4th-year option, sorry. So they have this 4th-year option on Khalil Mack. However, his issue is now they can't afford to pay him I think it's like $95 million is the average contract salary for him. So you can't afford to give him $95 million for a defensive lineman. Philadelphia did the same thing a couple years ago with Fletcher Cox. They gave him a $100 million deal, and then the following year he did absolutely nothing. He completely tanked from where he should have been, It was a very abysmal performance. Now, since then, he's been very consistent in what he's doing. People are afraid to face up against Fletcher Cox, which that's what they say. That's what I've been told. Cool. But the problem is you can't pay this much money and expect to keep the team together the way you got. Dallas Cowboys ran into a problem a couple years ago between DeMarco Murray and Des Bryant. You can debate whether or not they should have kept DeMarco or not. Now that they have Elliott in hindsight, they probably would have been smarter the way they've done it. But when you look at it, them not keeping DeMarco Murray caused the Dallas Cowboys to plummet. Romo went down, and the whole season fell apart. Now, thank God they have Elliott for the following year that have been able to drag them on in there. They still can't win the playoff game, but hey, I mean, that's Dallas for you.
They both participate in these ceremonies as well.
So, but the issue on the matter, like I've said, comes down to when you pay too much money, you're not going to be able to afford it. Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper's coming up again the following year. You're not going to be able to afford Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack, and Derek Carr unless Khalil Mack wants to take a smaller cut. But why would he? At this point, why should Derek Carr be paid more than Khalil Mack? Khalil Mack has led more comeback drives than Derek Carr has. Khalil Mack has been able to fight harder, but you can't give Khalil Mack a $100 million contract and Derek Carr a $100 million contract. Baltimore thought they could just go ahead, pay the quarterback, and everything be done with it. But Anquan Bolden left, Torrey Smith left, Jacoby Jones ended up leaving down the road.
That doesn't make any sense, right?
You can't continue to do it. Baltimore's not been able to build a defense because of it. New Orleans can't build a defense because of it. There's not much left. Not much left in the tank. See, Khalil Mack is just a machine, but you can't do much about it without him being on that team. Without him, the Oakland Raiders start to go back to where they were. This contract was absolutely stupid on Oakland's behalf.